Good afternoon. This is Celeste Granillo,
I'm Daniel Granillo.
and thank you for joining us today on our inaugural episode of Breakthrough News. We're very excited to start this endeavor, and thank you so much for joining us today.
It's not going to be long, 15 minutes most. Yeah, pretty much. Just delivering informative news, maybe something on the fringe. And we'll take it from there. Please leave any comments or questions down below, and we'll address them. Please be nice,
Yeah, please be nice.
because we'll be nice.
Yeah,
So,
and if you're not nice, we'll not be nice.
yeah. And we're smart and witty.
Yeah, quite clever.
Having said that, you have 3 different topics that you want to bring to the table.
Yes, if we can get that all in, and then I know you've got 3 as well. We're also very excited about Trump's State of the Union address tomorrow. Getting the popcorn ready for that.
Excited, cautious.
I can't imagine the ratings for that. Can you imagine the ratings?
It's going to be pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Super Bowl probably. No, I'm just playing. Not 4 billion, but
It's going to be pretty high.
but I think it's going to be probably better than any of Obama's, I would say.
Yeah, well, there's promise of some groundbreaking bombshell type things that are supposed to be dropped. Good news for some, bad news for some. Truth be told, I just really hope that everybody is safe,
Yeah.
regardless of whichever section on the aisle you're on, that everybody's safe there.
Yeah.
That's really the
I
important
agree.
thing.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, well, Trump also had a very successful trip to Davos, Switzerland. It was the annual meeting with all of the globalist, elitist type of the world. They meet there every year. Also, some presidents, politicians, people like that attend these meetings as well. But anyway, he went, and first of all, these people are the ones that are saying that global warming, and they arrived to like 9 feet of snow. It was the most snow they've had, I think, since 1999 there.
Yeah, right.
So that's a little bit of irony. But secondly, Trump's arrival, he walked in and it looked like a rock star.
Like Beatlemania.
Yeah.
It was insane.
People held out their phones. People were following him. You could see all the videos you can look it up on YouTube, you can look on Twitter, but it looked like you just see flashes going off everywhere.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
for as much as he's hated, especially in Europe, he was quite popular. I think he stole the thunder from everybody.
Well, I think that's the problem, is that a lot of outlets are reporting that he's hated, just how a lot of people report that he's hated here in the United States.
Right.
But in reality is quite different. Right?
So I thought it was really cool to see him get that much attention. And even his speech went really well. I think even CNN had to concede that that was Trump at his finest. So I think that he's at his best when he's negotiating, when he says, I have this deal, let's work this out. Negotiations are his thing. He wrote The Art of the Deal. And I heard them afterwards, everybody wanted to meet with him, and the line was over an hour just to meet him.
Right.
So that's not bad for somebody who's universally condemned.
Right.
So somebody's lying to us.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's who was elected. Was a businessman, not a politician, not some polished individual who tickles the ear, says the right thing,
Right.
just to get votes.
Right.
He's saying, this is how I feel about things. He's being an American. He's speaking. He's freedom of speech. He's a businessman. On top of everything, is what this country needed. And look what happened. We got rid of a politician, bringing in a businessman. We're getting back into business.
Well, we went from a community organizer to a major successful CEO, I loved it during the debates when people said, oh, well, Trump, you hired these illegals and this, type of people, and you fired these people. And he's like, I'm the only one up here who's ever created a job. And I thought that was brilliant. He just showed that he's a regular person. He took $1 million from his dad and came up with like $10 billion. That's a pretty good rate of return. So
Not bad for a supposedly crazy person.
Right, supposed madman, you know.
The thing is that, you know, we're not always going to agree with everything he says and does.
Yeah, I don't.
But yeah, there's some things that are like, but you're not going to get perfection.
Right.
That we don't demand perfection from each other. Yes, he's supposed to be the president, but that doesn't make him infallible. It doesn't make him this perfect human being, because God only knows all the other presidents weren't very perfect or moral or decent or
American.
not racist. So, I mean, you can say whatever you want about the whole DACA or the whole Mexican thing, and he's really done less than Obama has. Obama, you know, kicked out conservatively over 3 million, and these weren't prisoners and criminals. We know this because they're still in our federal prison system,
right?
Or being released through California streets,
right?
So obviously, these were real families and regular individuals. They weren't criminals,
right?
So that's what people neglect, and you can look that up on YouTube. They call him the deporter in chief in regards to Obama. Look that up; it's on YouTube, and you'll see that it's actually Latinos talking about this stuff. It's not, you know, white folks, you know, trashing Obama. Right. So anyway, veered off course. You were saying?
You digressed. So yeah, Davos was very very successful, and I'm very happy for him. And there's a bunch of world CEOs that said, okay, America's up for business, well, let's get going. So I think that that's just going to benefit us sooner or later. I know that his tax plan has also been quite successful. Major companies have already given their employees bonuses, stock options, extra benefits, things like that. They're taking that capital overseas or bringing it back here because they're not going to be heavily gutted through taxes or regulation like they were under Obama and everybody else. So we're pretty excited about that. I think that's just going to grow the economy. It's going to keep lessening the unemployment rate, and I'm excited to see where that's going to go. So Davos, very successful, and like I said, I'm happy for him. He deserves that. For once, he deserves that.
It's a universal win. He's had a bunch of wins already.
Yeah.
But, you know, depending on what channel you watch, saying he hasn't done anything, you know, besides create
and be on Twitter.
Tremendous, you know, job growth and black employment down.
The lowest ever.
Woman employment down. Lowest
Hispanic.
ever. Hispanic. Everybody that's out there marching against him, he's actually done nothing but positive. So, yeah, maybe on TV you may see like a few thousand or so, but don't forget there's millions of Americans, millions
Hundreds
and
of
millions of Americans. So they're not all being represented. You know, they're really not.
Right, right.
So basically, just don't believe everything you see.
Yeah.
You know, go for real evidence. You know, they're fooling you on TV. And we'll talk about that some other time, about deception on TV.
So what is the topic you want to discuss?
I wanted to bring up this disgusting situation here in California where a teacher referred to military personnel as uneducated and the lowest of the low. We were just talking about this. This is, you know, part of that brainwash system. Meanwhile, ironically, a soldier would gladly jump in front of harm's way to protect that idiot that's saying this.
Well, they did probably in the Middle East.
Yeah. So to call them uneducated is ridiculous. You have to be incredibly intelligent, beyond intelligent, to be in Special Forces, West Point, Naval Academy,
Air Force Academy.
Air Force Academy. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous for anybody to say that they're uneducated. Are they all brilliant scholars? No, not at all.
No.
But that's who the people in charge are. They're intelligent. They're in charge. You know.
This person has obviously never met anyone in the military, or maybe met someone bad from the military.
Sounds to me like maybe he lost a girlfriend to a soldier.
He might have done. He might have, because
it just sounds real bitter. It doesn't sound like it's coming from an educated, genuine place, which ironically.
And it's not like he said it in passing. He said it like aggressively.
Yeah, he was making a stance. Yeah, and that's his right.
Yeah,
he can say what he wants, but at least be factual, especially if you're being a teacher.
Right.
Give the facts.
But it is California.
It is California, so it's pretty much a computer telling your children to...
A monkey could teach these children.
And it's pretty much self-taught, which is why none of them have the idea of sitting there, learn, research, etc.
Well, there's an agenda
Massive
behind
agenda.
it.
I just want to reach out to, I really truly hope that no veteran or active military was offended by that. Just know the source and where it's coming from.
And the outrage, like on Twitter about it, people are furious over this incident.
Yeah, yeah.
And this person was like a mayor, a city council member. He's been involved in that community. So it's just appalling that this person would have that kind of platform, and he's just bashing the people that have given him that opportunity,
Right. I mean, our rights will unfortunately come from war. War does bring, death and destruction, of course, but it also, depending on the side you're on, bring rights and freedoms, etc.
Right,
and
right.
so we have those rights, we have those freedoms, and it didn't come from, people sitting in an office or a classroom. It came from people on the battleground and the intellect,
Well, you have to think too, like somebody who stops their life in their 20s, even their teens, and says, I'm going to go serve my country. Even if they want to do it for, college or better housing, whatever, they're still stopping in the middle of their life, their young life, putting everything on hold, missing birthdays, missing graduations, missing weddings, missing anniversaries, their families, their friends. Life goes on, but they're stopping that just to get trained to defend this country.
Yeah. I always say that
you can't give back time,
Right.
So the least we can do is just be more respectful.
if you don't like them, then keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they're doing something that I know this guy never had the courage to do.
No.
And that's what it really sounds like. When you hear it, it just sounds mean.
Right.
Mean-spirited, and it doesn't do him any good. He's not going to become this,
Right.
leader, or all of a sudden get promoted for
Unless
talking.
he wants to run for office in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Like,
he might be governor of California one day, but honestly, it's disgusting. And we need to fact check, we need to research, but check this out. Everything we're saying is not made up. It's
Right.
being covered everywhere.
Right.
I'm sure on a certain 3-letter news agency with 2 of them being N's, they may...
The Clown News Network?
Yeah, they may even see a different slant to it, but
Yeah,
truth be told,
yeah.
nobody in the right mind should be supporting or applauding this kind of talk. Yes, you have the freedom to do so, but don't forget where those freedoms came from. And if you're not going to raise your hand to do it, then shut up. Because someone else had the courage to do so.
Right.
And I just want to point that out. Students, kids, whomever might be watching this, don't pay attention to any of that.
Right.
It's absolutely disgusting. And that's the only real word I can, come up with is
Right.
disgusting, because the language behind it, the attitude, the tone, it's not based off of anything.
Well, it just reminds me of those
It's ugly.
people, those baby boomers in the 70s that spit on the Vietnam veterans that came home. That's what this just reminds me of.
They were drafted, by the way.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not
they
like
had
they're-
to do it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I wanted to bring up another thing. Earthquakes. The Pacific Rim seems to be going insane.
The Ring of Fire is on fire.
Is going nuts, from volcanoes to 8-pointers, all up and down. Folks,
Even
please.
like 4-pointers, 3 and 4-pointers.
Right. I mean, the earth is moving. The ground that you stand and sleep on, it's moving. And I just want to put it out there. Be prepared, people.
Yes.
Buy water. Buy first aid kits. Put it together. Go on FEMA's website. FEMA, it's a government agency, but they
Yeah.
still have good information on how
It's
to
a
be
good
prepared.
basic, information.
But add to it. If it says you have this much, double it.
Right.
You know?
And don't do the 72 hours anymore. Try at least a week or 2 if you can. Because I think if you have watched any disaster in the last 5 to 10 years, you see people still in a shelter 2, 3 weeks, month later, so
true.
you've got to have, you got to prepare for that.
Stay away from doorways, people. Find something sturdy like a table or a desk. In rubbles, you do not see rubble, doorway, rubble, doorway.
Right.
It doesn't exist. It all comes down. People that survive are people who happen to be under something sturdy. So find that kind of, or make sure you have a plan. If you're on the living room, we all go under this table, or we stand over here. We stay away from windows.
You should have a family plan.
Definitely.
And your pets too.
Have an emergency kit for your workplace, car, and home.
Right.
And something for each individual in your home. Or if you're just living by yourself, maybe something for a neighbor that, maybe might be elderly.
Right.
Or handicapped. Make sure that you have something for them too, because, maybe they don't have that readiness, so, or they can't get to it. Water, flashlights, batteries, trash bags. These are highly important.
Sturdy
Toilet
shoes.
paper. Sturdy shoes.
Toilet paper, yes. And you can always barter that too.
Right. So please, folks, be prepared. I'm not saying that anything huge is coming.
Right.
But the earth is trying to tell you. Now, please don't make this a political thing, fracturing and all that. Let's not do it.
Right.
Earthquakes have always existed.
Right.
No matter what. They've always existed.
So volcanoes.
Right. A lot of people are like, hey, well, we live here, etc. Well, we didn't exactly ask permission to overpopulate. We didn't exactly, do any fault checks. I mean, in our own neighborhood, which I won't name, there's these very high-end homes, and they didn't know that they're sitting right underneath a fault line. There's an actual fault line right underneath them.
Right.
The people out in LA and Rodeo Drive just found out a big fault's underneath them as well. It's scary.
Yep.
But
And it can go off anytime.
exactly. So just be prepared. Go on Red Cross also, Red Cross website. They have a ton of information on being prepared for multiple things, especially earthquakes here in California.
Also too, and we're both members of CERT. And I know each city, each county, it's different. It's either the police department or the fire department, but if you're interested in getting involved or serving your community, go ahead and look it up. Look up your city or county's website. They can point you to that. But it was 6 or 8 weeks that we did.
Or they'll condense it into a couple weekends.
Yeah.
But it's CERT,
They have different types
C-E-R-T.
of classes.
Yeah. And it stands for Community Emergency Response Team. You become volunteer rescue workers, and they train you. So it's worth it.
I loved it. I'm glad I did. I did it a long time ago, and you did it even farther back than I did. But we've been used a couple times, and it was
Fulfilling.
It was very fulfilling. I don't want to say fun because it was,
It was intense.
It was, but
Yeah.
I
Got the
really
adrenaline
wanted to draw. Yeah, we were looking for fires, so. But and we cleared out brush from winds when the winds were going crazy.
The wind and fire were happening here in our city.
Yeah,
And,
at once.
At once. And we got tasked by CERT, by our headquarters, to go find broken trees in the middle of the street, tree limbs, branches, and here's some rope, get them out the way.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
So that was really neat. It's giving back to your community.
Yeah. And we always say, like, it's been great to meet you. We hope we never have to see you again, because obviously if we see each other again, it's going to be during a horrible disaster or some sort of calamity. So,
Exactly.
but I was in CERT class number 13.
Wow.
I know. I was like, I should just skip this class. And the CERT 13 dropout and go to 14.
Did you have another topic you wanted to mention? We try to do 3 each, so.
Yeah, I want to talk about the State of the Union just briefly. One, I'm like I said previously, I'm very excited about it. I think that Trump is going to, I think he's going to assert himself with this one. And I heard on Fox News earlier this morning that it's going to be very Trump-esque, his speech. So I'm sure he's going to tout tax reform and things like that, but I'm hoping, maybe this is just my hoping, that some truth is going to be laid out. And by some truth, it's things that need to be uncovered, that have been covered for many, many decades now. Or maybe during the thing, some marshals will be out and about. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, there's been a rumor a few rumors. Unfortunately, it's all over YouTube, but there's rumors out there saying that some military is going to do some roundups at the behest of Trump or to help Trump.
Yeah, I heard that too.
The Marines will be activated. Now,
I've heard
we
that
don't-
also this weekend.
It's almost rumor versus anything else. But just be understanding, folks, that this is not a race thing. It's
Right.
not a class thing. It's
Right.
the wrongdoers being basically caught up in a net that they deserve to be inside of, you know, and taken care of. It's gone too far. These are our tax
Way too
money
far.
that they're wasting. It's enough, you know, and they don't deserve to have those freedoms anymore.
Right.
So,
Right. They deserve to be in, well, my opinion, they deserve to be in Gitmo, but
yeah,
I think it's funny that Obama never shut it down.
right.
And now maybe one day some of his friends might be in there.
I think terroristic ideology is beyond bombs. You know, I think that if you're creating issues for your state, country, county, the world, you're a terrorist. Like, you know, financial terrorists, economic terrorism, you know, global weather terrorism, you know,
Right,
that's
right,
huge.
right.
You know, these things we actually face. And so I hope some of this stuff does come to light.
Me too.
I do.
Me too. I think it's about time.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely about time.
Do you think he's going to talk about the memo at all?
Well, they're voting, they're discussing right now if they're going to release it. So I think that vote was supposed to be later on today or this evening. But I haven't checked on that. But I'm hoping he would just read it from there. I think that would be great. But
Yeah.
like I said, I think though it'd have to be in a few days after he would sign off on it. So, but then I've heard rumors that he's already signed off on releasing it. So it's going to come out. For Andrew McCabe to be forced to step down today, I think they're going to release the memo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's
Because if there weren't, why would he would just still be there. He'd be fine. Like he'd go, okay, I'm good. No one's ever going to hear about this. So, you know, why do I need to resign?
yeah. I think it's right to say that they actually thought somebody else was going to win. And so they could stay hidden.
Well, they never thought she would lose because they have been with her.
And the person before. Yeah, so I hope some stuff comes out, but I think they need to be very careful because there's a lot of people who are sheep versus shepherds, and they will try to label this as him trying to take over or
Right.
dictatorship, some kind of...
Or Russia.
Right, and that they had help with it. Just everybody, please use your brain versus emotion. You know, thought versus. I feel that. I feel your ideology isn't. I mean, come on, it's imperfect.
Right.
You know, go by facts. Go by what you actually hear and see.
It's time to be very logical. You know, Obama like brought on the emotionalism of everybody, and obviously saw that with all the killings and the riots and all of that. So
None of it had facts. A lot of it was blown out information. But yet everybody fell in line with it.
Yep.
You know, because you
Especially
play off
in the media.
Yeah, when you play off the emotions of people, you're going to get that kind of result.
right. Well,
Yeah.
he just tapped in anger. That's, you know, a lot of it's genuine, but it's been there. But he didn't do anything to help. He just told them to go out there.
You know, the other thing that people need to recognize is that if you walk in the middle of the street, instead of staying on the sidewalk and a police officer says, hey, get out of the street, and you don't get out of the street, and it's nighttime, and you're a minority, and you just got through robbing a convenience store,
And you're wearing a hoodie.
you should probably get out of the street,
Yeah.
and they'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
It's no reason to burn down businesses and join this guy's fight. It's absolutely horrific.
Right.
You know. So having said all that, I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
This is part of that fringe stuff we're talking about. I'll kind of cover that area of things, the X-File parts of things.
Okay.
You know.
Daniel likes to go off on these fringes.
Yes,
and-
with evidence though.
Yeah, and I don't mind them. I mean, I think it's all interesting, and then he might say something, and then 5 years I'm doing some reading down the rabbit hole, and then I'm like, Daniel mentioned that.